Trey Hendrickson just got done speaking to the media, and it did not go well. What's up, everyone? It is Josh here from No Buts About It. And Trey Hendrickson, about maybe an hour ago now at this point, just finished talking to the media. He showed up to Bengals practice today, kind of dressed like he was about to go out and hit 18 and maybe get a bench press in. I don't know, but he was clearly not ready to get onto the football field today. He was very clear about that. And as you can see, the media was all over him, understandably so. Trey has, if you've been living under a rock, he's been in a contract dispute with the Cincinnati Bengals. He wants a longer term contract. The Bengals haven't really budged. Trey hasn't really budged. But whose fault is it for these souring relations? Well, let's break it down a little bit. So I think both the Bengals and Trey make excellent points. So the Bengals appear, and I don't believe they've come out and said this specifically yet, but they don't want to give Trey a long-term contract because he's older. He's going to be 31 in December, I believe. Older player, there can be some fall off, especially on the defensive side of the ball. Trey today, he alluded to that point and he said, hey, if I was regressing this year and he's under contract this year for $21 million. And he said, if I had come out and had 4 sacks last season, they would have wanted me to take a pay cut. They would have said I was regressing. So how come when I lead the NFL in sacks, they don't expect me to want to take a pay raise? I mean, then that makes sense. That's a good point. And Trey is a guy who I really like. Just full disclosure, I really like Trey. I think he makes the Bengals defense much better. But I think Trey makes a good point. I also get why the Bengals don't want to get into a long-term contract with a player over 30 who's a defensive end on that side of the ball. That being said, Trey has shown no signs of regression. He has only shown signs of getting better, and they need him in the locker room to help guys like Shamar Stewart and Miles Murphy, who the Bengals seem to perceive as their future with the team in the pass rush. So yeah, maybe Trey doesn't play for the team in 3 seasons, but he could help better those guys. He could help you on the field and off the field. The person who I kind of am going to blame a little bit here, who has been kind of hiding throughout this whole thing, is Harold Lewis. Now, Harold Lewis is the shorter guy on the right side of your screen there. If you're looking at your screen, right side, he is Trey's agent, and he has been kind of doing this in a way that goes to war through the media, in my opinion. I don't really know too much about him. I did a little bit of research. He seems to be a smaller agency, but a well-respected agency nonetheless. And he's Trey's agent. And on his website, National Sports Agency, he brags about how he helped create the guaranteed contract. So that's something he takes pride in. Completely understandable. He has, helped a lot of players. He currently has, according to Spot Track, 13 contracts that he's negotiated with active players. So he's done some work in the NFL. He knows the business. And he seems to be just going to war through the media, kind of putting the Bengals front office and Trey against each other. And again, not saying that isn't completely justified. I think that the Bengals front office has handled this whole thing horribly, and they have continued to do so. Trey keeps going back to saying there's a lack of communication. No one has spoken to Trey. No one has spoken to his agent. He threw in his wife in there. He said, no one has even talked to my wife about it, which seems a little weird to mention. But then when you think about what this process could look like, and I'm just, I've never gone through this, obviously. I didn't play in the NFL. But when when we see a player gets traded, it's usually in our heads like, okay, they're going to be in a different jersey next year. On their side of things, though, let's say hypothetically, Trey gets traded to Dallas. Trey has to get down to Dallas immediately. He's got to get practicing. He's got to learn the playbook. He's got to get going, especially this time of year. That leaves Trey's wife to possibly sell the house, to pack most of the stuff. She's got to go through a lot of the process alone because Trey has to be in Dallas or wherever he gets traded to. There's a lot of behind the scenes stuff that we don't necessarily think as fans, and it affects spouses as well. They've got a young child. They've got to get him, or I don't know if it's a boy or a girl. I think it's a boy. They got to get him down to Dallas. That's not easy, moving with a young child. So I completely understand why Trey would include her in these discussions as well. That's just respectful. That's good, being a good husband. Something that kind of makes me lose a little bit of respect for the Bengals front office is how they have made Zach Taylor the scapegoat. Now, say what you want about Zach Taylor. Whether you like him as a head coach, hate him as a head coach, don't like his play calls, don't like his philosophy. There's tons of criticisms that are legitimate for Zach Taylor. One you cannot give him is that he is not a player's coach. His players love him. He has always respected his players. He's always spoken up for his players. And apparently, according to Trey, Zach Taylor sent Trey a text threatening him with fines if he didn't come to practice. Now, that's part of a CBA agreement. That is not necessarily the Bengals doing that. But for the Bengals to come out and say, Zach, you send the text. We're going to make you the face of this. No, don't do that to Zach. First of all, if you re-sign Trey and then there's that history, that's just going to be weird. Don't make Zach the guy who's threatening the players. Trey said that he still has a great relationship with Zach Taylor. He still wants to be a Cincinnati Bengal. He says relationships are repairable. Trey is ultimately being very mature about this and recognizing that it is a business. However, he also says he's going to hold out. And so if that's true, the Bengals have lost their opportunity to trade him. You had an opportunity ahead of the draft to trade him. Get a draft pick, get some draft picks, get replacements for Trey if you traded him. But now he's your dude. He is the guy you want on the front lines. You need him. You need him to be a Cincinnati Bengal. You've needed him to be a Cincinnati Bengal. And now you have no choice. I'm not trading him for a pick next year. I'm just not doing it if I'm Cincinnati. So that leaves us with only one other option, and that's to pay him. He's earned the money. He's shown up, shown out, and you supposedly, the front office 2 years ago, made him a promise that they would get an extension done later on if he signed on that short-term extension. And now you're not making good on your deal. He wanted an extension last year, and you said next year. And now you're not making good on your deal. So now he's saying you do not keep your word. He's calling them. He's calling them out. He's saying you do not keep your word. Do not tell me we're going to get an extension done next year, because you've said that the last 2 years. You have said that we would get a deal done the next season, and next season I'm a free agent. Next season he's a free agent. The Cincinnati Bengals cannot afford to let Trey Hendrickson go. And I think he's right. These things are repairable. He mentioned the Myles Garrett situation. That's been repaired. Do not let Trey Hendrickson go. Do not let his agent talk to the media and be the reason he loses. The agent can go say whatever he wants. That's part of his job. That's part of his business. His job is to get Trey as much money as he can. But when the Bengals are not helping themselves, it makes it really, really easy to make them look like the bad guy. The Bengals front office needs to step up and show that they are not the bad guy. Everyone else here is just doing their job. The only group that is not doing their job is the Cincinnati Bengals front office. They have to pay defensive players. It just has to be done. And I know there's going to be people saying, oh, well, he has to honor his contract. I get it. Yeah, sure. He wants to renegotiate. Yesterday's price is not today's price. And you know what? If they were smart, they would do it now because next year's price is going to be way more. It's going to be way more. We saw this with Jamar Chase. They would have negotiated last year. They would have gotten way cheaper. They were the ones who wanted to open up negotiations, and then they couldn't get it done. Now, they have the same thing with Trey, and they're not going to get it done. They better get it done because next year he's going to be a free agent, have way more options, and the price is possibly going to double the way these defensive end contracts are going. Get it together, Bengals front office. I really like Trey Hendrickson. Make him a Bengal for the rest of his NFL career. Let me know what you think about the situation below. Obviously, I'm very passionate about it. I really like Trey Hendrickson. I really like the Bengals. I just don't like how they're handling this front office situation. Please, if you enjoyed, remember to subscribe. It really helps us out. And don't forget to like and comment. Tell me what you think below. My main concern is just, that pass pressure production. Do we know that these younger guys are going to be able to step up without Trey Hendrickson on the field with Sam Hubbard retiring? But until next time, go do something nice for someone.